The doctrine of Trinity is the most important Christian doctrine that most people never think about. It's absolutely essential to our faith, and yet I think for many Christians it just seems like a very confusing math problem. And even if we can figure out what Trinity means, it doesn't feel like it has much bearing on our lives. The word Trinity famously is not found in the Bible. But the word does very well at capturing what a number of biblical truths. There are actually 7 statements that I would like to present. Firstly, God is one. So there is only one God. Secondly, Father is God. Thirdly, Son is God. Fourthly, Holy Spirit is God. Fifthly, Father is not the Son. Sixth, Son is not the Father. And seventh, Spirit is not the Father. If you get those 7 statements, you have really captured the doctrine of Trinity, what it means. And what does it mean when we say that there is only one God and 3 persons? So Christians are monotheists. We are monotheistic religion. We don't believe in many gods or a pantheon of gods, but just one God. And yet this God expresses himself and exists as 3 persons. That language of persons is very important. That the early church wrestled with the appropriate language, and persons really speak to the personality of these 3 members of the Trinity and also the relationship with each other. So the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit are in this mutual dance in union, and they are different, and they are one is not the another, but they are equal in rank, equal in power, equal in glory and majesty, Father, Son and Holy Spirit. Just like Jesus Christ sends out the disciples to go and baptize in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, we see this doctrine of Trinity woven throughout the scriptures. Even more confusing to people is probably, why does this even matter? Okay, I understand 1, 1, 3. What difference does it make in my Christian life? I believe that there are 3 really important reasons that the doctrine of Trinity means for each and every one of us. Number 1 is that Trinity helps us to understand how there can be unity in diversity. This is really one of the most pressing questions in our world. You have some folks who are all diversity. We are all so different. There is no common ground. There is other people who wants to press for complete uniformity of thought and government and expression. And really the Trinity shows us that you can have a profound, real, organic unity with diversity, so that the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit are working in complete union in our salvation. You can see that the Father appoints, the Son accomplishes, and the Spirit applies. And yet there's different roles, different ways in which they relate to each other, so that so that each and every person has their different variables, different roles. So second would be, the doctrine of Trinity teaches us about community. That we have a God who exists in 3 persons, eternally in community with each other. And as important as it is, as Christians, that we love one another, we care for one another, we support one another, and all these things are bound up, and being a Christian are found and have their origin in Trinity and the relationship. Then we finally come to the last and the most important one. You have a triune God. You have the eternality of love. Love has existed from all the time. So if you just have one God, not 3 persons, then this God, singular God, has to create a being outside himself to be able to express his love. But Father, Son and Holy Spirit, existing in eternity for all time, has always had this relationship of love. So love is not a created thing. God didn't have to go outside of himself to love. Love predates power. Love is eternal. And when you have a triune God, you have fully this God who is love.